Hey everybody, welcome back to this Saturday edition of What's for Dinner.
Hello.
I hope you're all doing well. It's about 4:15 on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. And so I just want to, as a reminder, let you guys know that everything you see in here or anything you see in here should not be considered medical advice. Make sure you reach out to your highly trained medical provider for any kind of questions or information that you need. This is for informational and educational purposes only. So let's roll right into what we have for dinner tonight. Should I just take it, Teresa?
Sure.
Okay. So tonight we're doing burgers. We went to the local butcher. For those of you who are in the Springfield, Missouri area, we have a Harder House here, or a couple of Harder Houses actually. But this is a Harder House ground beef. We went in there and actually asked them to do a 70-30 mix, so 70% protein, 30% fat. So that's kind of on the higher side with regards to fat, which is the way we like it because it adds a little bit of flavor to the burgers. And what I did is I basted them in avocado oil there. And then once they were basted, I added the Jane's Crazy seasoning and the Redmond's Real Salt. Sorry. And then there's also a filet in there. Teresa asked me to cook a filet. We had one left over from a couple days ago, so I went ahead and heated that one up as well. And I did baste that one, and yeah, these are looking pretty good. You can see at the bottom of the pan here, there's a whole bunch of extra grease, which is kind of what we go for. We'll actually pour that over our burgers before we eat them, and it's really good. And then over here, Teresa did some wings. She did these in the air fryer, so super crispy, also from Harder House. And then we've got store-bought eggs and
Last three farm fresh and three store bought.
gotcha. We got a mix of farm fresh and store-bought here, and then a little bit of cheese and butter added to those. So that's going to be good. And then over here, oh, you guys probably saw it over here.
Over here.
Okay.
Make people dizzy. Sorry.
Right. Sorry, people going around in circles. So we did. Yay. We haven't had for months. We've been out of Rosette's mix, and her dough mix is amazing. So I went ahead and ordered some the other day. We got it in, and so tonight, what did you make here, Teresa?
I just made biscuits. So she's so cute. She gives you a recipe for half the dough mix. I don't know what that means. I always do the whole. Like one of you asked me, what do you do with leftovers? And I'm like, I don't, what is that?
What's leftovers? We eat a lot here.
So 2 cups of shredded cheese, mozzarella, and 2 eggs. And then the dough mix in there, mix it up. And so then I just smashed it out you wanted buns for your burgers.
Yeah, that was the whole idea tonight, was to get some buns for my
And then I had this little bit of dough left, but I didn't really have a spot, so I just made it into a breadstick. I cut the center out, or opened the center up, and I put butter. I wedged a piece of butter in there.
Yeah.
And then this is everything bagel seasoning, garlic, and Jane's Crazy, and then these are plain.
Yum. Cannot wait. Like, I love this dough mix. This is my favorite. Rosette's got a lot of stuff, but this dough mix is by far my favorite. And Teresa has actually several recipes she makes out of it. You'll see them over the next few weeks. We're going to make some different stuff out of them. But tonight is burger buns. And if you guys are interested, she has some seasonal stuff going on right now. The pumpkin spice cake. And then she's always got yellow cake and chocolate brownies and things like that. But it's rosettesmix.com. And, woman-owned, family-owned small business.
Yep.
So support those folks. And she and Dr. Tro Kalasian, as her husband, and they're just fantastic people. So,
yep.
Then for my birthday, I got this roll of Amish butter. It's a local Walnut Farms is the name of the people who make it. So I love this because I literally cut out slices that are like the size of a burger, and I will put those right over top of my burger. Or I'll cut a big slice off and put it right on top of my steak. So
You just ate a piece like that.
I literally just took a piece that I had sliced and I ate it. It's so delicious. It's so creamy.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then, we've got our garnishings and whatnot.
Yeah, and leftover bacon. There's only a few pieces, but...
Yeah. So tonight, we were going to talk to you guys a little bit about how to get started on this this whole journey, this keto, low-carb, carnivore journey. A lot of times, the getting started is the hardest part. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit, and I want to back up a little bit before I get too far into that. With regards to rosettes, in these kind of keto desserts or keto treats or keto foods, we love rosettes. We eat it all the time. I'll eat it, sometimes for a treat. Sometimes we'll have it, like I said, tonight on buns or whatnot. But where this stuff, and this is good anytime. Okay, it's not gonna cause your insulin or your blood sugar to spike, which is what we're trying to control. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. But the whole deal with this stuff is where it really shines is kind of 2 areas. One is when you're getting started as a bridge food. So a bridge, when I'm talking about that, if you're a carbivore, you're a carb addict and you've been eating carbs all your life and you switch over to this way of eating, the low carb, sometimes that's a little bit tricky. And so you need a bridge food to help you get through that. So you can use these kind of keto desserts to help you get through that. So it's important to have those bridges. And then the other thing too is if you're gonna binge, the other area where this really shines is if you know you're gonna go out and you're gonna have like a bunch of dessert or whatever, you make the keto type treats.
Yep.
And you binge on those rather than just regular everyday cake or ice cream or whatever whatever your flavor is. And you use these instead. So just wanted to kind of just mention that really quick.
Yeah.
All right.
So getting started is the hardest part. It just seems overwhelming. Like you have jobs, you have families, some of you have parents you're looking after, plus grandkids you're looking after. It can be super overwhelming. Some of you don't have spousal support, you don't have anyone. Some of you live alone. So I tell people to look what we're doing and be about 3 days behind us so you can get whatever ingredient, and we are plain, but you can get whatever ingredients and then just cook after us. But I was just saying to Mark, he was here too, but last night one of the boys came home from work and they were both going to a homecoming dance. So he came in, we ate out because Mark got a Longhorn gift card for his birthday. So it was Nate, he came in, he said, "Are there any steaks for me to cook?" So I had one, I had just come back from Sam's, he just got the filet out and he fried it in this little skillet right here. This is why the eggs are black, because there was still a little bit of grease left over from him doing that. So he also made macaroni and cheese, but don't do that. But he just walked in, grilled that, sauteed it, probably 15-20 minutes, and ate a whole steak. So sometimes you guys are thinking it's inconvenient, or, there's other things that it's too restrictive. I think it's more restrictive to go to doctor visits because you're on, 8 meds and you don't have the energy to keep up with your grandkids or your kids. That's what I think is restrictive. So.
Well, let's, and breaking it down to the most basic parts here is the 3 things you really need to try and do with this way of eating is the number one thing is to reduce carbohydrate intake and stuff. So we want to reduce the amount of carbs that we're taking in, and carbs basically means sugar. If you're reducing carbs, then you're reducing insulin, and insulin is what drives fat storage. So that's what we're shooting for, number 1. Number 2 is to prioritize protein. So high quality protein, and you guys cannot go wrong with red meat. If you're eating steaks and you're eating burgers, you're down the right path with that. And the last one is eating for flavor and satiety. So fat does that. So for your flavors, especially for those of you who are carbivores, when I say carbivores, it's C-A-R-B, not N-B, who are used to eating, you need to replace those carbs, the sugars, with something, and that needs to be fat.
Yeah.
And so you eat that for your flavor, and you also eat that for satiety, so it keeps you fuller for longer.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 areas of emphasis you got to kind of focus on.
Yeah, there's so many things that we've been talking about recently, but it's just so cliche that like once you hit 40, pounds start packing on. But if you understood the physiology, it wouldn't be so cliche. It would just make sense to you. As we age, so I would say above 30, you become more sedentary. You don't really exercise like you used to, and your metabolism slows down. As you age, you naturally get insulin resistant. As you age, you naturally stop moving as much and exercising, so your muscle mass starts to deplete. We all know the little old ladies and little old men that are sarcopenic, which means no muscle mass. They're just skin and bones. So we all start to lose muscle mass. That reduces your resting metabolic rate, that reduces your metabolism, and that's just the cycle you're in until you do something about it. Then if you're a female, you hit menopause and it gets a little bit worse, belly fat because of increased cortisol. Then it gets a little worse because you're not sleeping good. But that's where it starts. When you start to lose muscle mass, you decrease your resting metabolic rate and metabolism.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a certain amount of, the bottom line, guys, is it's not easy to start, and nothing that's worthwhile is easy to begin with. So we're not trying to say that anything about this way of eating is easy. So we get it. Like, we've been there. We've been doing this for years. We've failed over and over times. And there's so many frustrations we've had along the way and failures to get where we are now. And we still fail.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, it's about, you have to prepare yourself mentally. So you have to be truly ready to start this way of eating and to apply yourself to it. You need to prepare yourself financially. Okay. At the end of the day, you can go into the store and you can spend $5 for a giant box of cornflakes, or you can spend, $30 or $40 on a pack of steaks. And there's a reason why the junk, the plant-based, government-subsidized food-like products are as cheap as they are in relation to real foods like meats and in certain vegetables and stuff like that. And that is because those foods are government subsidized. They're actually steering people into purchasing those foods and subsidizing the corn, the wheat, the soy, and all those industries to make the food less expensive, because food is expensive and inflation is kind of, they have to be careful about inflation. They don't want food getting too expensive. That's why those food-like products that I just mentioned are subsidized, and they're less expensive than whole nutrient-dense foods like meats. Yeah. So
I think a whole big box of Kellogg's is more than $5 now. And
probably.
Remember that Harvey Kellogg first developed cornflakes as an anti-masturbation food.
Yeah,
so,
that sounds crazy when you say it, but this is a true story, and that's going way down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's the Seventh-day Adventists. They did not want people having sex, and they thought meat caused carnal desires, so they put people on cornflakes.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. Something else, guys, at the beginning of this, we just talked a little bit about the financial preparation, but also prepare yourself mentally and prepare yourself. Well, okay, let's back up a little bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. All right, let's talk about, you want to get on board with people who are around you. Yes. You want to get them on board too. So if you can get your family and your friends on board, if you can have a battle buddy or a ranger buddy or a dive buddy, whatever you want to call them, just a food buddy.
Yeah.
That's what we used to say in the military, all those different terms. But if you want to have a buddy with you who you can go on this journey with, that's going to be that you can hold each other accountable. That's so much better. And if you live in a home and you've got kids and you've got a husband and stuff like that, it's tricky. It really is. Yeah. But you want to try and get them on board with you, okay? And so a couple of things about that. First of all, kids, okay? So when kids are young, they're narcissistic by nature. They want whatever is best for them. They can't help that. They have to learn, not to be that way. And you have to teach them to be not that way. So with our kids, all we can do is give you what we learned from this journey. Early on when they were young and we could control what their way of eating and whatnot, it was easy. We could say, no, you can't eat this, or yes, you can eat this, or whatever it was. As they got older and they started going out with friends more and doing more things and enjoying more activities, you have to release or relinquish some control over your kids. They end up going out and they go to parties and whatnot, and you can't control what they eat. That's just the way it is. And so our kids went down that road and they started eating, whatever they wanted. And we didn't try and hold them back or push them or stop them from doing that, because we didn't want to create any issues down the road. Right. So for years they were like that. And it wasn't until recently that we started seeing the fruits of our labor come to fruition, I guess. So literally, like, the kids now are starting to just naturally pick up a low carb carnivore way of eating. They're just doing it on their own. It's amazing to watch them now. And it's so tough with kids because you do all this stuff to parent them, and you literally do not reap the benefits of it for years sometimes. And you're just like, oh my gosh, did I just waste my time? You got to be patient, guys. Yeah. The other part of it is sabotagers. So be careful with sabotagers. Unfortunately, a lot of times our closest friends and families can sabotage us. And it could be something as simple as oh, you're just getting so skinny, I don't think you look good anymore. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Sometimes it's a cultural thing. You'll have somebody from, say an Italian heritage or whatnot. Yeah. And culturally speaking, they're just constantly forcing food on you when they eat. They love to cook, they love to eat, they love to force it down your throat. So I'm not bashing that. I'm just saying this is simple truth, Other times, though, people may be a little bit jealous, or they may be down a road, or a lot further down the road of obesity than say you are or whatnot. So, or
sometimes they're afraid you're going to make them do it, like they're not ready.
Misery loves company too. Right. So you just got to be careful and watch out for that, because that's going to be everywhere. Yeah. And it's going to be also in social situations. So when you go out to eat, you have to prepare yourself. I would challenge all you guys to do this experiment. This is more around alcohol, but you'll understand what I'm saying. Go out to a party where you have a bunch of friends there who are drinking. Walk around without anything in your hand. What is everybody going to say to you? They're going to be like, oh, why aren't you drinking? Where's your drink? What are you doing? Why are you not having fun? Well, can I have fun without having alcohol? So then try and go get a cup of water. Walk around with a cup of water in your hand. Guess what's going to happen? Nobody's going to say anything to you.
Right, because they're going to think it's vodka.
They're going to think you're drinking some sort of a drink, and they're not going to say anything to you. Yeah. So there's going to be that kind of stuff going on. And also something that Teresa and I do is before we go out to a big dinner, like say like a Christmas party or something like that, is we'll eat food a few hours before we go. We'll eat up a high fat, high protein food. And when you go, it's much easier to control your satiety and your hunger.
Yeah.
You know, when that happens. So my gosh, we just talked so much. We're at 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just want to say if it offends you that I'm going to talk about Jesus for a second, then you could stop it right now. But we were talking about spiritual also, and it doesn't have to mean Jesus loving, but just spiritually be ready also for what's going to happen to your body. But also if you fail, we were talking today and he said people need to remember to give themselves grace.
Yes, thank you.
And I instantly thought, that's true, because God is omnipotent. He knows what you're thinking and what you're going to do before you do it. The enemy is not. The enemy only preys on your vulnerabilities after you say them out loud.
Yeah.
So when you say, God, that was dumb. Why did I do that? I'm so stupid. I'm undisciplined. I'm not worthy.
I'm not worthy. Yeah, absolutely.
Then he's going to be like, you're not worthy. And you're going to then forget what God thinks about you, which you were made in his image. So that's what he thinks of you.
Yeah.
So,
and those kind of things will ruminate in your mind and you'll sabotage yourself. So that was thank you so much for reminding me of that, because self-sabotage is huge in this. So
right.
Go ahead.
No, there's just a lot of onions to peel, onion layers once we get to our age of, people think of trauma as abuse, like hard, awful, tragic abuse, but there's also micro traumas all along your life that we act a certain way, and that's a reason we act a certain way. So you gotta figure that out too.
Yeah, but applying that to the way, eating and stuff is that when you go out and you have one of those nights where you binge on, and you eat the things or drink the things or a combination of both that you weren't supposed to be doing, and then you start beating yourself up, you turn yourself into a punching bag. I've done it. Teresa's done it. Many of Teresa's patients and my clients have done it. Like, we get this. You have got to absolutely give yourself grace and move on. Pick your head up, keep it up high, and then move on from that the next day. Yep. So anyway, I think
I'm sorry we went so late.
Yeah. All right. Probably not a big deal to some of you guys who are watching. It just takes a little longer to upload to YouTube for it. But anyway, are you good, hon?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, as always, tell us what you're having for dinner. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to share them with us. We love you all. God bless you. We hope to see you at church tomorrow, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.